The radio was dead, spitting static like an insult. Officer Nolan didn't need to look outside to know the blizzard had won. He was stranded, injured, and his only way out was running into the storm. It was his partner, Atlas, the K9 dog, who was sent for help. A desperate, impossible mission. Nolan clutched the torn, empty K9 vest. Just survive, buddy. Please. 2 days later, the cold wasn't just in his bones. It was in the silence left by his commanding officer. Captain Thorne, face smug and red, shoved a stack of files at Nolan. The dog is a liability, a write-off. Your grief, Nolan, is irrelevant. He signed the transfer form with a scratchy flourish. You're confined to the evidence room for the next quarter. Paperwork. That's your new partner. Around the precinct, the quiet snickers were worse than shouting. They called Nolan sentimental, a fool who cared more about an animal than protocol. Nolan, his face a mask of exhaustion, simply nodded. He took the dusty Blizzard Missing Persons 2025 binder and walked toward the back room. The job was his broom, an intentional, public humiliation. Nolan wasn't looking for reports. He was running a ghost program, buried deep in the city's database, a mandatory, 10-year-old audit rule that logged every K9 collar ping to a central server. Thorne claimed the collar died in the ice. But Nolan knew Atlas. Atlas always wore a specific, hidden gear. One single coordinate spat out. Not for a collar, but for a small, secure storage drive Atlas had carried in his protective harness. Nolan didn't speak a word. He just printed the data, slid it into an unmarked envelope, and quietly sent it downtown. Officer Jenkin, the captain's assistant, saw the exchange from the water cooler. He froze, cup halfway to his mouth. The energy in the precinct shifted. What just happened? Nolan calmly ignored the outburst. He pointed to a small line in the K9 protocol manual. The K9 is autonomous in a life-or-death scenario, Captain. You can't authorize the dog. The dog authorized itself. Then Nolan clicked a remote. The big monitor in the corner of Thorne's office lit up with a secure live feed. It was the video from the drive Atlas carried. It showed Thorne, an hour before the blizzard, accepting a huge payment from a crime boss, shaking hands, counting cash, in the back of his unmarked patrol car. Thorne went silent. The video played on a loop, his own greed, a moving picture. The officers who had mocked Nolan now stared at the floor. They had chosen the easy lie. Now, they faced the exposed truth. Nolan, still silent, looked only at the screen. He needed no revenge. Exposure was enough. The door opened. Chief Miller walked in, holding the dusty Blizzard Missing Persons binder. He looked at Nolan. Officer Nolan, you weren't assigned to evidence. He opened the binder. Inside was a stamped document. Internal Affairs Task Force. Policy Corruption Audit. Nolan wasn't a confined officer. He was the lead auditor who had engineered his own punishment to access Thorne's buried files. Thorne didn't fight. His big hand dropped from the desk, tie loosening, his voice failing to form a word. The shame, public and absolute, was his only punishment. Days later, the policy sign was new and bright. Ethics and transparency audit. Weekly reporting required. Nolan, now the official IA director, walked toward his new desk. The cold was gone. Only the soft, grateful thump of Atlas's tail remained.